People don't cross boundaries by accident. They test them, quietly, casually, often disguised as harmless behavior, a small request, a subtle push, a joke that goes a little too far, and then they watch, not to see what you say, but to see what you tolerate. Because boundaries are information, they reveal how much access someone has, how much influence they're allowed, and how much resistance they'll face if they push further. When someone tests a boundary, they're not confused. They're collecting data. They're learning how quickly you hesitate, how often you explain yourself, how uncomfortable you become when tension appears. Most boundary tests don't feel aggressive. They feel reasonable. They feel minor. They sound harmless. That's not a big deal. You're being too sensitive. I didn't mean anything by it. But the reaction matters more than the action, because the first response sets the tone for everything that follows. If you hesitate, if you soften your answer, if you try to keep the peace instead of holding the line, the test doesn't stop. It evolves, not suddenly, not obviously, but predictably. Because boundaries that aren't enforced aren't boundaries. They're suggestions. And suggestions invite negotiation. Some people test boundaries to gain control. If you bend once, they try again. If you bend twice, they expect it. Control doesn't arrive loudly. It arrives politely, patiently, incrementally. Others test boundaries to avoid accountability. If you don't push back, they never have to change. Your silence becomes permission. And some people test boundaries simply because they can, not out of cruelty, but out of habit. They learned early that limits only exist when someone defends them. Here's what most people miss. A boundary does not require justification. The moment you over-explain, you turn a boundary into a negotiation, and negotiations invite pressure. Explanations give people something to argue with. Clarity does not. A calm boundary is complete the moment it's stated. Healthy people respect boundaries the first time. They may feel disappointed. They may feel uncomfortable, but they adjust. Unhealthy dynamics begin when resistance is treated as a challenge, when your no is treated like an obstacle, when your limits are framed as selfish, dramatic, or unfair. That's not misunderstanding. That's testing. So how do you recognize it? Look for repetition. Do they accept the boundary, or do they wait for a better moment to try again? Do they respect the limit, or do they reframe it to make you doubt yourself? Because respect doesn't push, it adapts. And here's the truth most people never hear. Boundaries don't push people away. They reveal who was never safe to keep close. Understanding this doesn't make you cold. It makes you clear, because how someone responds to your limits tells you exactly how they see you. This is Hidden Motives X.